Alright, so I did that now. So, hi, welcome. It's Will. I'm back again, doing another video. Here I am. So, question today, bit of a long one. What would feel like a meaningful community for you to engage with? What parts of yourself make it harder to feel connected to a community? Okay, this is a really interesting question. I feel anyway, because recently my third space has disappeared. I put a little bit of a video up about it earlier, the final quiz of said third space. Nerdy Cafe in Shrewsbury, gone. Not happy about that. Last day I visited was Saturday. It was an event on Sunday I couldn't attend. But it's gone now. And there's some grief for me there. There's some grief. And I guess what felt meaningful about that community for me was like it was so warm and opening and chill for just like kind of like weird different people, right? It's entitled to the name Nerdy Cafe. It's nerdy, dude. I love nerdy stuff. I'm a nerdy dude, right? Some people may think that's like a derogatory way I talk about myself, but like I love that, man. I like knowing things. I like being really excited about something. Simon Pegg's definition of a nerd has always really resonated with me. It's like a nerd being somebody who's like really like enthusiastic about something and they just want to learn everything they can about it. And like that really resonates with me. I love to just get in super deep and like learn as much as I can about stuff, and my brain can only take so much, so I don't know everything, but I love learning. So Nerdy was a meaningful community for me to engage with, as I felt like it embodied some of those values. There was openness, there was curiosity, people were just nice. Everyone was chill. If you were like a bit weird, that's fine, man. And I guess for me, you know, in where I'm from, in the UK, you know, a lot of our third spaces would be like a church or a pub. I don't really drink that much. I'm not particularly conventionally religious. So what third space is there for me? And it's always been the nerd shops, it's always been the nerd places. I mean, Shrewsbury, which is my hometown, in the UK, I've gone through so many nerd stores there. There's always seems to be a rotation. There's like never a long-standing place there. But Nerdy lasted for a while, man. Nerdy lasted for a while, longer than most of them. So Totally Games back in the day was a huge place for me. Loved that place, man. I played Yu-Gi-Oh there, played Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, huge fan. Big community for me, right? That was a meaningful community for me to engage in, because like everyone was like into Yu-Gi-Oh, but also like nice to each other, nice about like differences. Like I'm neurospicy, I'm dyslexic, so my brain just works differently, so they say, and being in like more conventional spaces, like I guess I feel a bit disconnected in those conventional spaces because I don't want to drink a lot of alcohol, and I've been reflecting on like why I feel disconnected from those spaces. I guess I feel it's like I wrestle a lot with my own challenges with being British. I feel pride and shame simultaneously a lot with that, so hard to reconcile sometimes. So like in more conventionally third spacey places in Britain, I don't really feel that connected. Not a huge fan of football, don't really care about football. Sports is a big aspect of pubs, so yeah, I don't really tend to connect on that front. So Nerdy for me was a really meaningful community for me to engage in, because I feel like I could just be myself, right? I feel like I could just throw down whatever I was feeling, throw down being chill. I did my listening service in Nerdy for a bit, and I really, I never got like a ton of people, but the people I did get were like more along my kind of speed, that were a bit different, processed things in a bit of a different way. And I really appreciated that. It really felt like I was with people that I could understand, and hopefully they felt understood. So yeah, I guess that's why it's meaningful for me to engage with a community like Nerdy, because I could just like suppress less of my authentic self. I can come in and be kind of earnest and nerdy, and I can kind of maybe info dump a little bit sometimes, and I can also just be nerdy. Yeah. I also love the community events they used to do. I used to volunteer there and put on like Mario Kart tournaments, because I love video games, and that's not here anymore. So what parts of yourself make it harder to feel connected to that community? I guess it's similar values, right? Like in a pub, if I'm in a pub and like everyone's like talking about Liverpool versus Everton, I don't really connect with that. I guess for me, because I technically been to a Shrewsbury football game, and I just don't connect with the camaraderie of it, I guess. I think it's really cool that people get a lot of community out of football and sports, but I never really emotionally, that never really clicked for me. It was never a community I felt I was really pulled to a lot. I think it's probably in part because like being overweight when I was younger and played sports, I was like picked last or not picked at all, or always put in goal for football and stuff like that. So I didn't really enjoy football because it felt like, I guess, an arena of judgment and highlighting of my physical inabilities. And while people encourage me to do stuff like rugby, because I'm pretty big, I'm like 6'2", and I'm got pretty stocky shoulders. So, like, in theory, I could be good at rugby, but I'm a horrendous pacifist. I don't want to run into people. Not a fan of that. So that didn't work either. So, I think I had a lot of challenges with that. Now, like, I've grown up a little bit and I'm like way more into physical stuff, and I'm trying to enjoy that a bunch more. And I'm still overweight, but like I'm trying to tackle that. And maybe that in a way is like me attempting to work with the parts of myself that find it harder to connect to those kinds of communities, when it's like actually a big part of my cultural DNA, right? I've even been thinking about going to church. As weird as that sounds, right? Like, well, you will, like, and just to be clear, like, I'm agnostic. Like, I'm not a hard, staunch atheist. I'm like open to all vibes. Like, curious to hear how you think the world works. Interested in Hinduism, Sikhism, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, whatever. Interested in your vibes, man. Like, Buddhists, chill. I probably connect with Buddhism the most out of a lot of the major religions from what I understand of it. Not that I'm an expert in Buddhism, but suffering is inherent in existence. I agree with that, and I try and lean into that, which I feel is pretty Buddhist. But I've had a lot of challenging experiences interacting with and engaging with organised religions. Particularly as a kid, I was raised in a Church of England school. That was my first experience in education, and it was not a good time for me. I didn't enjoy that. I rebelled against that religion a lot. I really disliked the structure and formality and rigidity of it, because it goes against, I think, a lot of the values I've come to understand are very much integral to how I like to vibe and operate. Openness, exploration. That's generally not a huge part of organised religions in my experience of being in a Protestant school. Obviously, that's like a tiny shard of the full experience of religion and spirituality. But it like affects my ability to feel like I could engage with those communities a bit more. And also, like, I guess I feel there's a degree of intellectual... There's a judgment I put on myself if I were to lean more into a religious angle. I guess it would feel like I'm being intellectually lazy. And there's probably a judgment there for me on myself and how I feel about kind of Christians historically, which is unfair. They're like lovely people, most of them. Some of them, they're all different. Everyone in religion's different, right? There's nobody who's the same, but there are good Christians. It's not a bad religion inherently. But I found it really hard personally to engage with that and those kind of larger kind of third spaces, right? So coming back to kind of what would feel like a meaningful community for me to engage with is one that embodies those values, openness, exploration, and I think I've wanted to be part of that. I've wanted to be part of like a creative community. I think that's something I really craved for a long time, a really creatively driven community. Really craved that. And I feel like I've had bits of that, parts of that, but I've not had all of it. So, yeah, that leaves me with, why is it hard to feel connected with that? Maybe for me, it's like that I struggle to bring my own creativity out more to help foster a kind of creative community like that. And maybe that's something I need to explore a little bit more, maybe. Because... yeah, I guess what I'm thinking here is like, if there isn't that kind of community overtly, like what can I do to help foster that, right? And I have friends that do creative stuff, but they're all over the place. They're everywhere. So what do I do here? What do I do? I'm not sure right now, but that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.